We are gonna do a Portuguese food crawl today, where we are gonna go to a bunch of different places to try some of the best food that the Portuguese cuisine has to offer.
So it's starting out well. We took the Uber all the way out to a suburb here in Fonte Luminosa, and it's closed, but this is where we're going to have a cozida portuguesa. So let's find another place. They're open.
They're open.
Woo!
And this place has exquisite food because we have been here before and they make amazing traditional Portuguese. This place was actually the place that made me fall in love with one specific Portuguese dish, polvo asado.
Polvo asado. It's basically just grilled octopus. And if they don't have the cozida portuguesa here, we're just gonna go with that.
So,
it's very rare that you get disappointed with Portuguese wine. Something that is weird about Portuguese wine is that outside of Portugal, it's very rare to drink it. In Denmark, Portuguese wine is basically non-existent. Portugal, they should be better at marketing their wine. Unfortunately, they don't have cozida portuguesa here.
but really that doesn't matter because now we are having probably the most well-known dish from Portugal, which is bacalhau. Bacalhau is salted codfish and it is one of the most used ingredients in the Portuguese cuisine. Actually, the Portuguese have made 360 different dishes with bacalhau. But the strange thing about the bacalhau is that it's actually fish from the Norwegian coastline at the North Atlantic Ocean that the Portuguese people discovered in the 14th centuries while sailing around the world. And they love it so much that they want to bring it back to Portugal. And in order to maintain it fresh, they had to salt it so that it could last all the way back to the south. And the method of drying and salting the fish like this, they actually learned at the Faroe Island.
Which means that my ancestors basically invented the most popular dish of Portugal because I'm half Faroe Island. So you have mashed potatoes, chickpeas, bacalao, and it's grilled bacalao, this one.
In Denmark, and as a child I always had a lot of codfish growing up, but the texture of the bacalao is so different because it's not as tender. It is tender, but it's just a way different texture than a normal fillet of codfish.
For me, the highlight of this dish is the mashed potatoes that just absorbs all the sauces. It is really juicy and extremely flavor-filled.
Of Portuguese culture, we are gonna end our lunch with this espresso. It's quite different from the Italian espresso because these beans are roasted on a higher temperature and also they are made with a greater pressure, water pressure when you make them. So that actually makes it more bitter, but also it has a lot of flavors. It's quite strong, but it's really good.
And I usually prefer a coffee latte. The Portuguese people don't really drink latte, it's all about the bica. But the coffee culture is becoming more advanced in the sense that you can get a lot of different coffee these days, so they won't stare at you with a weird face, but some will. One thing I like more than the coffee in Portugal is all the small cozy places you can sit and enjoy it, because even in a busy city like Lisbon, you have a lot of these tiny parks where you just feel like you are in the forest.
Yeah. One thing that the municipal have figured out is that all the tourists here are super lazy, so that's why technology has found its way to the hills here in Portugal. Let's go later.
Are you kidding me?
It's time for some multicultural food.
This place is called Cantinho do Assis, and the food here is partly from Mozambique, which is a former Portuguese colony. They have a meal here that I'm particularly looking forward to.
The reason why the Portuguese cuisine is so diverse is actually because the Portuguese Empire included so many different parts of the world back in the days.
Yeah.
So they have got so much inspiration and so many ingredients from India, Africa, America, Brazil, and that is what we're gonna explore now.
So, what is the best beer in Portugal? Basically, there are two schools of thoughts. Either it's Sagres or it's Superboc. We had a poll on one of our videos, and it was easy to see that Superboc is the most popular beer in Portugal. So that's why I've decided to drink Superboc from now on. It's happening.
It's for you.
This dish is Bakra Piri Piri, and it is a Mozambican dish. If you think about it, it's quite funny to imagine that if Lisbon wasn't hit by an earthquake back in 1755, Mozambique, likely India, and a wide range of other countries would be Portugal today. This is what makes Portuguese food interesting, that you have so many different things that are still founded in the Portuguese culture.
You both have like this glazed of all the oil and the fats, and then you have all the spices biting the tongue, and then you have this amazing meat that has so many flavors in it.
And the taste doesn't get any less good when you enjoy the surroundings where you are, because we're sitting here in this narrow street of Alfama, which is, in my opinion, the most charming area of the entirety of Lisbon.
It's Pastel de Nata time.
Nata. That is.
It was close to be nata though. So we recently made a hunt for the best Pastel de Nata, and we found that the Belém one was the best. But 4 days ago there was this Pastel de Nata contest, and the winner of that contest was this Pastel de Nata.
I'm very skeptical because I am positive that Pastel de Belém is the best one, but now we're going to try this one and see if this actually is as good as they say.
Hallelujah! I feel like my tongue is getting massaged by angels or something.
For me, it's more like the sensation of being massaged by size 6 bowling balls. It's not too heavy. Aesthetic-wise, it was a 5.
But the taste though, 4.5.
It was like drinking the fresh Wyoming air. I don't think it's better than Pastel de Belém.
No, that's why I say overall it's a 4.57 or something.
Yeah, but the Pastel de Belém is still better, but this is recommendable.
Enjoy.
Okay. This for me screams Portuguese cuisine.
It's nothing super unique, really. It's just a proper sausage.
But that's the thing with the old Portuguese cuisine, that it is super simple and basic, but it's really, really delicious.
I'm washing it down with this lager beer, and this is from a very local brewery, just a stone throw away actually, in Graça. Excellent. In Portugal, you have a lot of these microbreweries where they are more interested in making a very delicious beer than actually selling a lot of them. If you're curious about how a Portuguese brewery operates, we've made a vlog in Mavila. Here comes the airplane.
The largest difference that I find between the Spanish chorizo and the Portuguese chorizo is that the chunks in the Portuguese chorizo is bigger, so it hasn't been blended as much as the Spanish chorizo.
It's more raw.
So that brings out all the fats in a different way. So when you chew in it, it's super greasy in a good way, but it's a heavy meal. So
super heavy.
So this is usually what you eat with the bread, but since we're gonna have so much food today, we decided to go raw chorizo. Did you hear that, ladies?
Bacalhau, we're not done with it for today because, as we said, bacalhau can be used for a lot of different dishes. We're gonna have Pastel de Bacalhau, which is like a snack. You'll have, for example, after some chorizo with a beer. It's very fishy. You forget that it is made of bacalhau, so you get like sort of overwhelmed by the fish taste, but the cheese compensates as well. So it is kind of like a bakery snack, but it also feels like real food. Oh, I actually really like it. I love cheese.
As some of you already know, I'm not a big cheese lover, but I'm gonna try. So the thing is, we got the Pastel de Bacalhau com queijo, which is the cheese-filled bacalao. But when I only eat the dough here, I really like it. He's helping us out.
I'm here.
Ovos molhos.
Moldes.
What is the English translation?
Soft eggs.
This is actually from the region where Aveiro is, which is the Venice of Portugal. This is a recommendation from one of our subscribers who said this is epic.
Is it good? It's like laying on a big bed of roses, but without the spikes. Very nice, very nice.
And you try the best cookies in Portugal too.
Oh, you have a cookie too?
What is the
Yes.
name of it?
Raivas.
Raives?
Raivas.
Raives.
It means angry, but it makes me happy.
Ah, okay, I get a bigger one here.
That's what she said.
Oh, it smells like butter cookie. It's super simple, but sometimes simple is the best, you know? So eating all this food can be super exhausting. What a tough life we have. So now we're gonna take a little break with a nice cocktail here in...
What's the name of this place? Wine and Pisco. Even though this is like in the middle of the most touristy area, you are able to find places that is cheap. €7 per drink, which is cheap compared to perhaps the neighbor door. But
Cheers
let's
on that.
down this because we still have a few dishes to go. Look at these bad boys.
We have now sat down for a proper Portuguese traditional dinner now. We are at Sola dos Presuntos, a very old restaurant. It has actually been located at this address for 50 years now. And it is not just a normal restaurant. This restaurant is where a lot of the elite of Portugal is eating. Even people such as Cristiano Ronaldo has had a decent dinner here.
But today we are the biggest celebrities here, and even the neighbor table is laughing of that. We're opening out the dinner festival with a glass of Douro and Alentejo wine.
Douro.
Which are two of our favorite wine regions in Portugal.
So the waiter just gave me this bottle, and I guess we should just try and use it and see what happens. First dish, our appetizer, is Sopa Rica de Peixe, and it's a traditional Portuguese fish soup, and it contains a bunch of different seafood stuff. Also, it has pasta in it, like small macaronis, which is very strange because I didn't thought that was Portuguese, but apparently it is.
Like, it's so flavor filled that damn, that Viagra definitely did its magic on it, because it is
Nobody wanna know.
quite, well, it's spicy.
Now it is time for the cabrito. This is an oven roasted goat kit, and it's actually a dish that is originally from the north of Portugal, but the dish has been brought to the entire world, even in the state of Texas. This is a national dish of the state, and it was brought in by the Portuguese.
You can definitely taste the pig.
Nej, det er ikke pig, det er goat kit. This is just another example of how simple you can make ingredients tasting like a heaven on earth. A lot of oil, tastes a bit like laranja, orange, and I like how they cook the rice here in Portugal. There's still like substance in the rice, and I like that a lot.
Gostaram do restaurante?
Gostava
Muito,
muito.
muito gosto.
E vão voltar cá?
Sim, sim. Tudo vossos followers vão
Subscribers.
comer aqui.
Sim.
See?
Come on, Keith.
We've had food since basically since we woke up.
Yeah.
Well, we're not done yet.
What is a dinner without a dessert? Så extension. Okay, so I just ordered our dessert in Portuguese, and I was super proud of myself to be able to order a lemon tart and a marble cake. But then the dessert came. This is a lemon tea, but we did get the marble cake. It isn't necessarily only in Portugal you find this, but I was just explained that it is a very traditional Portuguese dish as well.
In other words, we're pretty desperate to find this dessert. Muito bom, muito bom.
Now there is no more place left in our tummies. It was a
And,
pleasure eating this food. However, we have only scratched the surface when it comes to Portuguese cuisine.
Cozida portuguesa is apparently not as easy to get as we were hoping for.
It is considered to be a Friday or Saturday dinner, so we are gonna wait with that for another day.
Because we're gonna make part 2, part 3, part 100 of Epic Portuguese Food Tour.
Thank you for watching, guys. Até logo. Ciao, ciao.